Florida, 2025. A real war with pythons is raging there. Giant snakes from Asia, once brought in as pets, now devour everything alive in the Everglades swamps. Over 20 years, raccoon and rabbit populations have dropped by 99%. The government spends millions of dollars trying to fight them, but pythons reproduce faster than people can catch them. No one can stop them. But few people know that America once had a successful war against snakes. In the middle of the 20th century, Texas faced a similar problem, and Texas won. The hiss of a rattlesnake, that sound meant death. Rattlesnakes were a real threat millions of Americans lived with. Western diamondback rattlesnakes can reach 2.5 meters in length. Their venom destroys tissue, causes paralysis, and can kill a person within hours. 2-centimeter fangs inject venom directly into the bloodstream. The bite turns black within minutes. Flesh dies. Without an antidote, death comes within 3 to 4 hours in hellish agony. In the mid-20th century, dozens of people died every year from snake bites, and hundreds were seriously injured. Farmers lost livestock. Children were afraid to go outside. Imagine walking across your own field, and just a few meters away, hidden in the tall grass, lies a massive rattlesnake. You don't see it, but it's already ready to strike. One wrong step, and the venom is in your blood. That's how Texas farmers lived every single day. In 1958, Texas said enough and declared war. The first rattlesnake roundup took place in the town of Sweetwater, a massive hunting festival. It wasn't just pest control, it became a real show, drawing 30,000 spectators every year. Hunters pumped gasoline straight into snake burrows to smoke them out. The captured snakes were brought in by truckloads by the ton. Organizers didn't count the snakes one by one, they weighed them in kilos. From 700 to 2,000, 300 kilograms of snakes in a single weekend. That's between 1,000 and 2,000, 500 killed snakes in 3 days. On stage, in front of the crowd, snakes were killed with machetes and skinned right before the audience's eyes. Children watched as their fathers peeled the skin off a snake in seconds. The crowd roared with delight. Kids laughed. No one thought about the consequences. It wasn't just a festival, it was humanity's triumph over nature. Later, the meat was fried and sold as a delicacy. The record roundup collected nearly 11,000 kilograms of rattlesnakes, more than 11 tons. Over 8,000 snakes killed in one weekend. The economies of small towns depended on these festivals. Sweetwater alone earned about $8 million a year from the roundup. It was a holiday that fed entire towns. Families came together, took pictures with dead snakes, bought souvenirs made of snakeskin. It became a true tradition part of Southern American culture. In Texas alone, up to 125,000 rattlesnakes were removed from the wild every year. For decades, millions of snakes were killed, and it worked. Within a few years, the number of rattlesnakes dropped sharply. Bites became rare. The death statistics fell almost to zero. Farmers could finally work safely in the fields. Children played barefoot outside again. Local newspapers proudly wrote, "Texas is free of snakes." It looked like a perfect victory. The mass hunts worked. America celebrated its triumph over rattlesnakes. 10 years passed. There were still almost no snakes. No bites. Kids played barefoot. Everything seemed perfect. Then local farmers noticed something strange. There had always been rats in the barns, a few dozen, nothing serious, a normal part of life. But last fall, there were a lot more. This spring, even more. By summer, the barns were crawling with them, hundreds, thousands, and every year there were more. Then the mice came. Their numbers exploded. Fields, grain, storages, houses, rodents were everywhere. 15 years after the roundups began, Texas farmers realized it was a disaster. Let's do the math. One snake eats about 200 rodents a year. Texas killed 125,000 snakes every year. Multiply that. 25 million rats and mice were left without a natural enemy. 25 million every single year. Think about that number. If you lined up every rat, the chain would circle the Earth twice around the equator, and they breed fast. One pair of mice produces 8 litters a year with up to 14 pups in each. Without predators, it turns into an avalanche. Grain storages were emptied within weeks. Rats chewed through bags, crawled into silos, destroyed tons of grain. Crops in the fields died right where they grew. Farmers spent huge amounts of money on poisons and traps. Nothing worked. There were just too many rats. Rodents brought disease. Hantavirus. Mice spread it through their droppings. A person breathes in dust containing those particles. At first it feels like the flu fever, weakness. Then fluid fills your lungs. You literally drown from the inside. Without treatment, only half survive. And it started exactly in the areas where snakes had been killed most actively. Coincidence? No. Nature's law. Scientists looked at the numbers. Diseases that had almost disappeared came back. Rodents were eating 1/3 more grain than when snakes were alive. Farmers were suffering losses worse than in the hardest years. One biologist said during a congressional hearing, "We killed our protectors. We celebrated a victory without understanding what we'd done." Rattlesnakes killed dozens of people each year. The rodents they kept under control bring diseases to thousands. Rattlesnakes weren't just dangerous predators. They played a critically important role in the ecosystem. They were natural regulators of rodent populations, free field sanitizers that worked day and night for centuries. Snakes controlled the very pests that destroy crops and spread deadly diseases. When people removed snakes from the ecosystem, they removed the last barrier between their fields and the endless armies of hungry rodents. In 2013, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department received a petition to ban gassing snake dens. A working group was formed: scientists, ecologists, Roundup organizers, and ranch owners. The results were clear. Removing that many predators from the food chain has devastating consequences. Texas won its war with rattlesnakes but lost a war with rodents it never meant to fight. And this isn't happening only in Texas. The same story repeats all over the world. India, 58,000 people die from snake bites every year, the highest number in the world. People fear snakes and kill them whenever they see them, but scientists warn, if snakes disappear completely, hunger will kill not thousands but millions. Rodents in India already eat enough grain every year to feed 200 million people. Only snakes keep their numbers even slightly under control. Without snakes, agriculture would collapse, and with it, a country of 1.5 billion people. The Caribbean Islands. In 1872, just 9 mongooses were brought here from India to kill snakes on the plantations. It worked perfectly. Snakes disappeared completely on most islands, but mongooses turned out to be omnivorous predators. They started eating everything. Half of the 39 native lizard species went extinct forever. Sea turtles lost 77% of their nests. The population of the Hawaiian goose, the Nen, crashed from 25,000 birds to just 30 individuals, 30 birds across all the islands. The species was on the edge of total extinction. All of that the price of destroying snakes. Every time, it's the same mistake. People see a dangerous predator and think, let's kill it, and life will be better. But nature isn't a list of enemies and friends. It's millions of invisible connections. Remove one link and the whole system begins to collapse in unpredictable ways. And here lies the cruel irony. Florida is now fighting desperately against invasive pythons, snakes that humans brought there themselves. Yes, they must be controlled. They are an alien species. But Texas once successfully wiped out its own native rattlesnakes, the snakes that had been part of the ecosystem for millions of years, the ones that kept the balance. And now Texas is paying for it with an invasion of rodents and diseases. Florida can't get rid of its foreign snakes. Texas got rid of its own and regrets it. Rattlesnakes seemed like enemies. They bit, they killed, they terrified people. All of that was true, but every night they also hunted rodents. They killed the same rats and mice that spread deadly diseases and destroy crops. They protected farmers without even knowing it. Every species in nature is part of an incredibly complex system that took millions of years to form. Even the most dangerous predator plays its own role in it. Everything is connected by invisible threads, and when humans step in and decide that one species isn't needed, they tear those threads without seeing the whole picture. The web starts to fall apart. The balance breaks. And the consequences don't come right away, but they always come. Texas wiped out all its snakes. 10 years later, it realized its mistake, but it was too late. Rattlesnake populations take decades to recover. A female gives birth only once every 2 or 3 years, with few offspring. When you kill 125,000 snakes every year, there's no turning back. And rodents keep multiplying. Today, Florida is fighting pythons and still can't win. Texas defeated its snakes and is still paying the price. Snakes are dangerous, yes. They bite, they kill. but they also protect every night for centuries for free. A world without snakes is not a safer world. It's far more dangerous, because when you remove a predator from nature, you don't remove danger. You just can't see what's coming next until it's too late.